then there is another one that says no. It burrows before fertilization, and once it's inside the host, then the male will come and fall on the skin and fertilize the female, fertilize those eggs that are already found in the female, in the tunga penetrans. And so those are the two theories, and both of them make sense. But Misty came up with a new one, and it made a lot of sense, because I recently asked our supporters, people who have had the privilege of listening to, watching our videos, I asked them to be researchers, to engage actively in looking for solutions, because as I argue out, we have the privilege of championing this cause, just us. We may not have a lot of technical know-how, we may not have a lot of experience, we may not have a lot of education, we may not be known where we are, we may be poor and in pain. All those factors you can ever think of. But God has given us a chance to champion something for His people, His beloved people who are left out. And so I said, we must come out and seek out for solutions and support this cause as our own. That's the cry of my heart. And if we can truly do that, we will annihilate this thing. We will do a lot of good things. We will turn the world upside down, and nobody knows what we can achieve. Nobody can actually fathom the far we will go. And I'm very sure as pioneers for this together, we'll have a place in the making of that historic step that shaped the beginnings of a new thing. God could choose to use just ordinary people in the future to manifest Himself. Maybe it's divine design that in the future people will be guarded by their own conscience. We don't know yet how the future will be as people become more and more brilliant. Perhaps we may not even have the New World Order that secret societies and world governments talk about. Maybe God is bringing it down to individuals where we will be able to govern ourselves. I don't know yet. And so I asked people to really personalize this thing and love it and do research in their little corners and seek after solutions for that. So Misty talks about a jigger being asexual. And she says, there's no sex involved. And she says, there's no sex involved. There's no mating taking place. And the jigger is not the only bag. You have others that are asexual. So there's no mating. Does it make sense? Yes, it does. And I want us to ventilate, to brainstorm the issue. Think about it. Could it be possible that actually the jigger doesn't mate? That there is no male jigger? Could that be possible? You think so? And I invite us to research that. We are such a big number of people. Look at the people who watch, my videos. So many hits. These are huge numbers of people. And the reason we have these big numbers is because there's the power of God in this thing. There is divine interest in it. It's either of God or of the devil. If it doesn't glorify God and it's selfish, self-seeking, selfish, self-seeking, then it's not of God. But if it's favoring the poor and the people who are defeated and those without a voice, then it must be of God. Because God has always chosen to dwell with the weak. His power is manifested in weakness. So we have an obligation as people who believe in this to do research and find solutions. My email is always available. You can email me anytime. You can even call me. My cell phone is widely shared on the internet. You can call me anytime and I'll say, hello, how are you? You're speaking to Jim Durucci. That will be me talking. It's not easy to get that in other organizations. The leaders are so private. We've chosen to be very accessible because we are different. We are a movement for the people. We are a movement for the people. A global movement. Not an African thing, not a European thing, not an American thing, not a Japanese, not Chinese, not Russian, not Brazilian, not Australian. We are a global body. And so we have an obligation to do research and find solutions to some of these controversies like the jigger, because the jigger is a controversy, really. It's a big controversy in the world. The jigger is a controversy. How did this thing survive in the world where people are going to the moon and they are showing pictures of Jupiter and the planet Mars? People are making effort to find out what is the constituent molecular structure of the sun, what causes that heat that is just too much, that glows beyond comprehension. And if people are searching far and wide, how come a little bag was hidden from the face of the world with all the technological advancement in the medical field? How come they didn't know what a jigger is? How come there is still debate about how this thing mates, where it mates, at what stage the mating is between who and who, and whether there is any mating in the first place? That debate is there because research has not been conclusively done. So this is a phenomenon, and it was hidden from the wisdom of the world for a purpose. And I believe that I am part of that purpose. We are all part of that. We should be obligated to be more fired up, be part of this thing at our level, because it's calling on us to be active, to jump in and be right in the middle of it, regardless of our education, of our social statuses. You could have been despised by your own, could be poor, could have not gone to college, could have raised kids and they all were messed up, and somehow people thought there are things you didn't do right. You know, all that. We are all called to stand in the gap, to truly work towards this. I believe if we get serious enough, we can sustain this. We don't even need governments or corporates or any wealthy fellow. We just need that commitment, that drive, this self-drive. And as I've said, I'm personally 101% committed to this. I won't relent, I won't let go, I won't play games. I don't have time for games. I'm in this and I'm going home. I don't have time for games. I understand the dynamics of this world. And I know the limitations of the so-called power that is worldly given.